Thank you all for coming to this glorious event. For those of you unaware of the purpose of this day, I will tell you the history of the 8 swords. 20 years ago, Babick Thunderwitz, the finest metalsmith the world has ever known, set out to make the 7 finest swords in all existence, one for each of the 6 knights. That made it the exclusive organization known as the Knight Circle. And the final sword, the 7th sword, was meant for the king himself. Each blade was forged from the strongest metal and the rarest materials. Once he had finished the 7 swords, he delivered them to each of the knights as well as the king. Each knight was more impressed with the cutting edge of the blade than the last. Each blade was explicitly made for its owner. It is well known that there was no greater match than these knights and their swords. Not even a rose and its petals know such perfection. While each knight was amazed by their new companions, the sword perhaps was most surprised at all. For when he laid his fingers upon the hilt of the sword, the handle itself turned gold, and still remained all of its strength. Perhaps it was due to the magic of the smith, or perhaps the purity of the king's heart. However, there was one knight who was denied entry into the Knight Circle, and this knight's anger and jealousy drove him to kidnap Babick Thunderwitz and force him to create an 8th sword, a sword that would take years to complete. But this evil knight, E.K., returned to this kingdom because he could not wait for vengeance. He returned and murdered the king's only heir, and before he was chased away, he declared that he would one day return here for good and rule as king. It has now been 15 years since E.K. has been sighted, but each year the rumor grows. They say he is nearby, that he has seen the savage 8th sword carried on the back of the brute. They say that the sword is the opposite of all others, that the blade itself is evil, that it has warped E.K.'s body into something else, that his face has changed, and his heart is even more corrupt than ever. And so every year since his son's death, the king has put on a competition as a means to prepare for battle. And as strong as they say E.K. has become, black magic, physical strength and all, the Knight Circle is here to remind us that they should not fail should E.K. return. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your knights, and this is your king, and their swords.
Yay!
Our first knight, Josh the Javelin, whose greatest exploit is vanquishing the Scorpion Queen, who threatened our allies not so long ago. Her threat was not only in her tail, but in her power to seduce all those who looked upon her, all except this brave knight, who, after finding her there, cut off the tail of the beast and hurled it at her with such force that it pierced her very heart. Our second knight, Michelangelo, who after the battle with the Dark Elves was confronted by the fabled Grizzly Mantis, the 10 feet tall beast, half bear, half praying mantis, with poison dripping down its jaws. After slaying the beast, Micah painted a scene of the battle for our king's honor and glory, and using only the blood and venom of the monster as paint. Our third knight, Seth the Savior, who risked all he had by sneaking into Lord Jarkith's castle to rescue a dozen maidens bound for slavery, and on his way out, he fought off countless soldiers while protecting all the maidens from even the slightest harm. And our fourth knight, Corey Red Steely, known for his exploits in combating the Red Doors in the ancient underground city of Redsteel, famously, when confronted with challenge in battle from the Dwarven king known as Gaunt, he accepted the challenge and tore off the horn of Gaunt's helmet and plunged it deep into his chest. Our fifth knight, Ben the Whaler Wharton, whose ship was attacked while on an embassy sea voyage. The whale was 10 times the ship's size, and things looked worse and worse each time the beast crushed into the hull. But Ben, sword in hand, leapt off the boat and onto the back of the giant and stretched that beast's blowhole down its back, and was back on board the boat in time to see it sink into the abyss.
Killed it.
Our sixth knight, the current champion, Joe the Juror. Known for his mercy and compassion, he has proven himself time and time again to be objective in deciding the fates of this kingdom's enemies. It was this knight that drove off E.K. all those years ago. And our leader, Geoffrey John the Gardener, a man who needs no introduction but deserves one. After slaying his evil brother, Lord Jarkith, and ending the war, our king held true to his promise to his mother to make something good out of his brother. Our king buried him with a single seed, which is now going to be the largest tree in all the kingdom. decide who shall be the champion, and they can dethrone Joe the juror, you'll have Ben and Micah face off. She's song for this part.
No.
They're a little too excited there.
Yeah, well.
Ah!
That was the best one.
Be better. Advancing to the next round of the sparring competition is Michelangelo. Our next competitors, we will have Joe the Juror and Great Red Fury. Advancing, Joe the Juror. Our last two knights, Josh the Javelin and Seth the Savior. And our winner, Seth the Savior.